It is Monday night. You know what that means. It's travel chat time. For those of you that are new or watching this replay, my name is Haley. I write HaleyWithAFlair.com, which is a travel blog that specializes in hotels, cruising, travel, pretty much anywhere in between Disney, Europe, you name it. And every Monday night, I come in here with a travel item for us to chat about. And then Tuesdays, I'm also live here on HAPS at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for my Today in Travel show with my best friend and travel advisor, Jason Poole. So make sure you check that out on Tuesdays. We are multicasting to multiple platforms, Periscope until the 31st of this month. Then we're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you are interested in joining my online travel community that I have with Jason, go to todayintravel.live to join. You can offer up some of your favorite travel tips. You can ask questions. It's a very open forum, and we'd love to have you. Let's see what we got here tonight. Lindsay, hello. Tina, hey. Ben, Mark, Lisa, Emmy, how are you doing? Emmy, Wednesday is the day. That is when my article will be out. So very, very excited. So before we get started talking about Rome, which is one of my absolute favorite places in the world, I wanted to let you guys know that there is a new post up from last week on travel tips, things you need to do right now. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to my Patreon patrons who get some behind the scenes Q&A and special videos, to Cody, Rosemary, Mindy. I could not be doing this without you. I am just very thankful for you. Yes, Italy is on lockdown, and I felt like Italy needed a little bit of love. So that is why we are doing that. Cruising Chris, you always have a tech problem. I think it's a user error. I know I'm late, to be fair. I took a bath because I was just feeling like super sore. My joints were kind of rough. Kathleen, hey, how are you doing? All right, guys, we said we're going to talk about Rome, and that is what we are going to do tonight. So I also have my live schedule here. Like I said, for those of you just joining, I'm live here Monday nights, usually just a very informal chat. This is a Q&A section. And then on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, my favorite travel advisor, Jason Poole, and I do an actual travel show. It's not quite as much Q&A. It is almost just like a news show where we go over the hot travel topics that have occurred during the past week. We have a special guest joining us tomorrow and have some other guests lined up for the future. It's about a 30 to 40-minute broadcast. I highly recommend you guys catch that. Even if it's on the replay, it's absolutely wonderful. All right, we're going to talk about Rome. Italy's back on lockdown, and I felt like they needed a little bit of love because it is one of my favorite places in the whole entire world. So let's talk about Rome, everybody. Feel free to ask questions. We'll be going back and forth. Andrew, welcome. And if you've been there, feel free to throw in some of your tips. This is a learning experience for everybody tonight. All right. So how to get there. So I should also preface, there is a full guide that's on my blog, HaleyWithAFlair.com, which is where some of this is coming from. Foxy, thanks for subscribing. So if you want all these full details, you can definitely go get it and save it for later. Hey, Jay, how are you doing? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So if you're not in Europe, you're probably going to be flying there. You're going to fly into FCO, which is the Fiumicino Leonardo da Vinci International Airport there in Rome. Great experience flying in there. Once you arrive, you can either get a car service, rent a car, grab a taxi, or take a train. I am personally a huge fan of getting a car service. I did it in Italy. I did it in Paris. I highly recommend it because one of the best things is, now that I've been to a couple European airports, when you get out of out to the arrivals area, it is a madhouse. Like, these airports are huge. It's so busy. And in the arrivals area, you have people lined up with your sign with names for people that have pre-purchased car service. It is so nice because then if you're going to be walking to a taxi station or the rental car place, you still got to hike. Having somebody there that picks you up and just takes you where you want to be is amazing. And especially in Paris, I know we're talking about Rome here, he was parked literally right outside of arrivals. took all of our luggage. It was a fantastic experience, and it wasn't expensive. You can get round trip private transportation for about 30-40 bucks each way, which I think is a great price. And it's so much less hassle. I can highly recommend that. I have done the train in Rome that comes back because the night before we flew home, we stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn. Funny story about that is we'd been in Italy for almost 2 weeks, a group of 7 of us, our family, and we had an early flight. So we booked the Hilton Garden Inn Rome airport versus staying another night in Metro Rome. And we ended up eating at the hotel restaurant. And after eating all this luxurious, yummy, delicious Italian food, a bunch of us ordered burgers. We were just kind of, we were a little bit over the Italian food for how rich and good it was. A burger just sounded really good. So we took a train to that area. It's not difficult. It's a little more hassle. So I highly recommend the car service. Andrew, thank you for the award. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. So when you're actually in Rome, because keep in mind the airport is about 20 to 30 minutes outside of Rome Metro. The best way to get around is by walking. It's a super walkable city, or taxi or Uber. The taxi and Uber fares are pretty simpatico. They're about the same. But one thing you need to keep in mind with Europe is taxis don't just hail anywhere. It's not like New York City where you can just hail a taxi wherever you want. There are taxi stations and they are not allowed to pick up outside of those areas. So make sure you look for a taxi station. They're pretty well sprinkled throughout the metro area of Rome. But it's great. It's pretty cheap. I mean, that is how I flew around and got some really fabulous photos early in the morning, was taxis and Ubers. Kathleen has got some tidbit for us here. Heathrow or Gatwick always take British Rail to London, Rome and Paris car service, and the drivers can be amazing with info. Absolutely, Kathleen. I will preface that. When I was supposed to go to London last April, we were going to do a train from Heathrow. Just because the setup is actually, from what it seemed to be, and Kathleen can obviously speak from experience on this, it seemed really easy. But Rome and Paris, highly recommend the car service. Does anybody have any questions on transportation? So thirsty. You guys can ask questions while I pull up the next slide here. All right, so overview tips. Oh, my one thing didn't move over. Anyways, we'll chat. One of my biggest tips is when you are staying in Rome, you need to pick a good home base area. There's a bigger version of this neighborhood map down below. I personally loved the Campo di Fiori district. It's near the Tiber. It's over by Piazza Navona. It's right across the bridge from the Vatican area. I felt it was really, really central. And the great part about staying in that Campo di Fiori neighborhood is you have the market that is open like every day. So you can go out in the morning, you can get cheese, you can get fruits, anything your heart desires. And then at nighttime, they have live music that plays in the piazza. The restaurants all have outside seating. It is a fabulous area, and it's not overrun with tourists versus like staying right over next to the Colosseum or right next to the Spanish Steps. I personally loved this. I'm just drinking water tonight, Chris. It's a very busy week for me. So pick a good home base because that will make your walkability a lot easier. And just keep that in mind. So if you are going to hop around Italy and you're going to take the Italia Rail, pardon me, I almost said Euro-Rail. I did get a taxi for that. It wasn't far. It was far for a kid. It was, in essence, a couple miles from the Campo dei Fiori area. Keep in mind, if you are going to take a taxi somewhere during business hours during the week, it's going to take a lot of time. The traffic gets really congested, and it took me almost 30 minutes to go like 3 or 4 miles. So keep that in mind. Jay once, I can't imagine actually renting a car and driving within Rome. Some of those streets are tiny. If flying in a few days early before cruise, recommendation for maximizing touristy culture. Yes, Kathleen, we're actually going to talk about that. I think, yeah, it's on this slide. Skip the line tickets are one of the biggest ways that I can tell you to maximize your time. They're not that much more expensive, and you get to cut the line, get ahead to security at places like the Vatican Museum. I did that with my family, was completely worth it. Splurging a little bit and getting a private tour and skip the line at the Coliseum is going to boost you right through there. If you're not somebody that wants to go through a ton of activities, but you want to go see these pretty sites, the hop on, hop off buses are really great, really economical. That was great for our grandmother that had mobility issues, for her to see the city. If you want those beautiful pictures, and I'll give you an idea of some of these beautiful pictures in just a moment. I think I'm missing one. Pop this off. If you get up early, you can get pictures by yourself at Trevi Fountain, the Coliseum. Soak it all up, and that's free except for your Uber ride unless you're walking there. Definitely pre-buy your tickets. Just like Andrew said, pre-buying your tickets is key. I really liked it. I actually, if you guys are on Instagram, I did a live Vatican tour with Gray Line Rome, who I used when I was in Rome. They grabbed a couple influencers and we did a live broadcast while they did a tour from the Vatican, from St. Peter's Basilica. And it was wonderful. It's really inexpensive, but hop on, hop off bus, skip the line, and consider a private tour, especially for the Colosseum and Roman Forum, because then you get to skip the line, go past security, and it's more customized to you. So would highly recommend that. Yep, Termini Station area is good access for hotels and transportation. I feel like Rome was really easy to navigate, honestly, figuring out where you were. So walkable. It really was. All right, let's hop back to this slide. I'll get rid of this one. Switching around here. We talked about early bird gets the worm. Early bird gets the worm. Get up early if you want those killer photos with nobody in them. Romans like to sleep in. A lot of tourists like to sleep in, I guess. Get some euros. I cannot emphasize this so much. So I took a group of 7 people to Rome. And a lot of people that have traveled in the Caribbean and whatnot have this sense that the US dollar matters in Europe, and it does not. To the people with us, I told them time and time again, I'm like, get some euros before you go. It's really easy. You go to your bank, tell them how much you want in euros. They'll take it out of your bank account. And I have Chase, so I usually have my euros within a day or two. It's a really easy process. I would go 2 weeks ahead just to be safe. But they brought American dollars to Italy, and people wouldn't take them. Our money is worth less. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh my God, worth less than the euro. So get some euros ahead of time. And one of the best exchange fees, actually, when you're in Europe, is to pull cash out of an ATM versus doing it at the airport. Never exchange your money at the airport. It is the worst transaction. And there's also a really great app that you can download. It's linked in my Rome travel guide on my blog, so check that out. That shows you what the conversion is, so you can see if you're not exchanging at an ATM, if you're getting screwed. So keep that in mind. I'm always up early. I am too, Andrew. I always get local currency and have it before I arrive. It just helps. You don't know if you need to tip somebody, or there are some places in smaller parts of Italy, like when we went down to the coast, that didn't take cards. So always have some cash on you. Yay, Chris, you're all fixed. Awesome. Perfect. So the next and last slide, this is a really concise list, because if you want the full list, you got to go to the blog, and I guarantee it is worth your while, are some dining basics. One of the reasons that I love Rome is you can eat and drink well for $25 a day. Think about that. How many places can you go and eat for $25 a day? Like all your meals, and even drink. So a typical breakfast is, usually like a cornetto, a cappuccino, or something from a forno. And that'll be like 2-3 euros. It's ridiculously cheap. Lunch, you can get these beautiful porchetta sandwiches, or you can get pizza. It's 5 euros. It's obscenely cheap. And then for dinner, you could go get a carbonara easily for 10-ish euros, 10-ish euros, 10 to 12. You can get a glass of wine for 2 or 3 euros. I mean, it is insane what you can like consume in a day. Exactly. Like, it is so cheap. Like, I would get like cacio e pepe for like $10, glass of wine for 2-3 euros. Even get some gelato for a couple euros. Easily about $25 a day is what you could budget for Rome. Now, don't get me wrong. Are there some restaurants where you can totally splurge and get a really expensive meal? Absolutely. But I think the beauty of Rome is that a lot of the dishes are simple. There's a lot of simple dishes. Like cacio e pepe is literally just pasta water, pecorino romano, and tilicherry ground pepper. Just It's so good. Another thing to note, you guys, is that water is not free. So when you go to a restaurant and order water, they're going to bring out a bottle and they're going to charge you a few euros for that bottle. So water is not free unless you're walking around. There's random little fountains all throughout Rome that people just put their hand under and drink out of. I don't know how that looks COVID time now, but water is not free at dining. In essence, there's times where wine is cheaper. Like, you could get a bottle of wine for the table for 7 euros. It's so cheap. And a lot of the times it's homemade wine from the restaurateur that opens that. So if you see a sign in Rome that says bar, yes, it serves alcohol, but it's not what you think. Bars are open in the morning also as kind of coffee shops. So you'll see a bar open at 7, 8 a.m., people running in there, grabbing a coffee, and then going their way to work. So bar is not just alcohol. Another word to keep in mind is fornos. Fornos are bakeries. My favorite is actually listed on the blog. It's called Rascoli, and it's in the Campo de Fiore area. Oh my God, they have this amazing food, and we're going to show a food picture here in a second, guys. But they have these maritosis, these pastries, these beautiful cappuccinos, amazing. Some of the dishes that you need to consume while you're in Rome are carbonara, cacio e pepe, maritosis, porchetta, and fried artichokes. And getting them in the Jewish ghetto is actually the best place. So I'm going to show you some of these things you have to get. So these are all from that Roscoli bakery, Forno, also called a patisseria, if you are interested. But there's my cappuccino with a little heart. There's my heart, love of my life, Olivia, eating a maritosi. A maritosi, exactly, Kathleen. You walk in life is healthy. I think I put on maybe 1 pound when I went to Italy, and I ate carbs like it was nobody's business. But, I looked at all the stairs I walked in Positano and how much I walked in Rome, and I didn't feel bad. And I never felt bad after I ate things. Like, sometimes, if I go out and eat Italian here, I feel very bloated after. Never there. It's wild. So this middle picture is Olivia eating a maritosi. A maritosi is a soft, sweet roll that they slice down the middle and they fill it with fresh whipped cream. That's what that is. It's not icing. It is just fresh, sweetened whipped cream down the middle. It is amazing. It's wonderful. And to the right are some more pastries from Roscoli. It's so good, you guys. It makes me so happy. I could gush about Rome for a long time. All right, so we're to the Q&A portion of this broadcast. So next Monday, I probably will not be live at this time. So there is not going to be a traditional broadcast. I'm still doing a Today in Travel broadcast on Tuesday, but I will probably be broadcasting daily next week, as I will be in Vegas working on a couple of projects and also going to Zion to work on a project. So make sure you're by. I'm just going to go live at random times and keep you guys guessing. So if you have questions about Vegas, Zion National Park, or even questions about Rome, Now is your time. Feel free to ask, and I'll start talking about Vegas a little bit so you guys can think of your questions. So the first 5 nights I'm staying at the Venetian, and then 2 nights I'm going over to Zion National Park in Utah, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from Vegas. And then I'm coming back and staying 2 nights at the Red Rock Resort and Casino and flying home. Eat gelato each and every day. Jay, that is correct. You know, my favorite gelato, though, is actually Rome had good gelato. Don't get me wrong. I didn't have bad gelato while I was in Italy. But my favorite gelato is from this place in Florence, and it's on my blog too. And I did 2 scoops. One was a rice pudding gelato, and the other was this dark chocolate ganache gelato. It's what dreams are made of. Like, I wanted to sing Lizzie McGuire style and be like, this is what dreams are made of when I consumed that gelato. So in essence, I'm going to be getting my Italian fix, staying at the Venetian. I have lots of photos planned out. I don't know if you guys can see, but my very sassy robe came in the mail today. Rice pudding, yes. Don't miss a tour of Castel San Angelo. That is a good tip too, Jay. I love that. Play some slots live in Vegas. You really want to see that, Chris? You know, I don't spend a lot of money at casinos because I worked for one, but I probably will spend like $50 and play some slots. The only game that I like was the Buffalo game. Jay, you bring up a good question, and I actually brought pictures on here to show you guys. They're just buried. This is a picture of a ceiling that I took in the Vatican Museum, you guys. Look at this photo. This photo doesn't even do it justice. The art on the ceilings and everywhere. Going through the Vatican Museum was just a very humbling thing. Kathleen, I love that movie. I find myself watching those movies these days and I'm like, oh God, these are terrible. My poor mother, my poor father. Yes, Tina, that is also on my travel guides, having the adapter for your electronics. That is a true one, true one. Hey now. I can totally get down with that. But no, the Vatican Museum is super humbling and awe-inspiring. One of the things that I think was going through my mind as I'm walking down these beautiful hallways with ceilings that look like this was how much money and corruption took to get this, and just how many wars and people died for the name of this. I know that's probably like a really creepy way to look at it, but it was just, it's insane. It's insane to think about. And I mean, there's nothing like it. I have these beautiful photos and just nothing compares. Jay, I completely agree. Same, Andrew. Oh, that's cool, Andrew. Vatican is amazing, but line and crowds can be overwhelming at times. So one of the times a year that I would highly recommend going to Italy, especially Rome, is during Easter. Yes, it can be busy. I was in Rome over Palm Sunday, and then I ended up being in Florence for Easter. And being in a old historic Catholic country during that celebration is amazing. Like, it's just, whether you're religious or not, it is an amazing experience. Just the history, the traditions, the culture. It's great. And one of the great things about going for Easter is that is the shoulder season, which is when I went. Easter fell in mid-late April. Airfare was cheap. I flew out of Newark for $320 round trip. Quite a bit of the housing was relatively cheap. So we did Italy for the equivalent. We spent 11 days there. And I think for my husband, my daughter, and I, we spent $2,500, including the airfare, which is amazing. I'm hoping to go near Christmas time, Tina. That's what I'm supposed to do this year at the end of November. over Thanksgiving. We're supposed to go to Venice and Trento to do an Italian Christmas market, stop in Strasbourg, France, do their Christmas market, and end in Paris. So, Andrew, I bet that was a great experience. Jerusalem for Easter and Passover. I bet you that was amazing. I did not have to sit next to a chicken. I am a deal connoisseur. I'm always looking for deals, which is why if you guys are new, you should definitely follow me over at HaleyWithAFlair.com. You can actually sign up to get alerted when I put a new post out. And I actually have lots of tips videos on my TikTok channel and my Instagram. I'm at HaleyWithAFlair on every single social media platform to keep it simple. Jeff is Italian. His grandmother is full Italian, actually. It was a great deal. Summer months, remember, some authentic places don't have air conditioning. That is true. That is true. That is another reason I was kind of glad I went in mid-April. The weather was like high 60s to mid 70s. US, of course, Fahrenheit temperatures here. But it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let me get you guys a couple more photos here. Actually, we're going to talk about these photos coming up. Let me pop these off. So there is the Jewish ghetto neighborhood in Rome, and talking about a humbling experience. I'd read about these before. This is a beautiful church that's over in the Jewish ghetto neighborhood. But down below it, you guys are going to see this gold square plaque. These are called stumbling stones, and you will find them outside of doorways in the Jewish ghetto. They are memorials that have been put into place. And what you will see is somebody's name on there, the date they were arrested, where they were sent to, and roughly when, and the fact that they died is mentioned on here. It's a memorial. I'm going to sneeze here, you guys. I apologize. Thank you for subscribing, Clayton. I'd read about them and I was super excited to see it. Big World War II history buff. And I remember looking around when we first got into this neighborhood and I didn't see any. And I was just like, oh, I was kind of hoping to see, that's a big history piece for me. Well, then I saw this one first. This one right here is the first one I saw. And I took a picture, very humbling, paid my respect, mentally took a little moment of silence here. We went and got lunch, and then we left, and we turned down the street to go meet our Uber. And this street had a ton of them. Like, it felt like as soon as I saw all of these stumbling stones, because some of them had multiple ones outside of these doors, it was like it turned cold for a minute and quiet. It was just, I always get teared up when I talk about it because it was just so humbling, because in reality it didn't happen that long ago. So if you're a history buff, highly recommend. Plus the food, the fried artichokes are amazing. Excuse me. There we go. But highly recommend you guys check those out. So let's get some more happier news in here, you guys. So here's some photos. Oh, I already showed you guys that one. Let me pop that one out. There we go. So got up early and took this beautiful photo of my daughter at Trevi Fountain. If you ever look at Trevi Fountain, Kathleen, it makes it very real. Thank you for blessing me. I appreciate it. But this was right before sunrise. Got this beautiful photo of her at Trevi Fountain. Hardly anybody there. Completely worth it. The bottom picture is Piazza Navona at nighttime. It's absolutely stunning. So beautiful. Let's see here, Jay. If y'all are headed to Firenze, I like how you wrote Firenze. I loved it. Stop at the Prada and Gucci outlet shops. Amazing. Watch out for the cavalcade of Japanese tour buses. Jay, that happens here too. So I live near Niagara Falls, and we get inundated with Asian tour buses, and they love to stop at the outlet malls in the Finger Lakes and near Niagara Falls. Andrew, I get up just before sunrise, usually one day on my trip, to shoot sunrise photos and in high locations. This particular morning, I went and shot Trevi Fountain, the Colosseum, and St. Peter's Basilica from the outside. I actually couldn't get in too far because it was Palm Sunday, but I was up early, very early, and it paid off. So roughly by the time the sun was getting ready to come up, I was at Trevi Fountain taking photos. Like, this is literally right before official sunrise, this photo. And then I buzzed over to the Coliseum just as the sun was rising. And I have this beautiful sunrise photo that's actually in my office right now. We did toss our coin. There's actually vlogs from this. If you guys want to see some Italy vlogs, I have vlogs from this morning and this day in Rome. You should definitely check it out. Still struggling with HAPS and being able to see the photos. Need to get rid of the autofill comments. I agree, Kathleen. I agree with that. I actually have a call that I sit on with some of the broadcasters from HAPS. It's still a beta. They're working on things, but it's a little easier to use than Periscope was because I had to use a whole separate platform to show slides. And I'm a very visual learner, so that's why I like to have them. But let me see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything else. All right, perfect. Okay, guys, we are definitely to the last part of the Q&A section. I want you to tell me what you want to see in future broadcasts. Any questions, I'll leave it up to you guys. If not, I will be hopping off in about another minute or so. I appreciate you taking the time to spend your time and evening with me here on Mondays. Make sure you send me any questions you have on Vegas and Zion, as I will be leaving Friday evening to head over there for 8 nights. And make sure you catch us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a special guest. We're talking about sweets tomorrow. That's your hint as to who it might be. But 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with myself and Jason Poole at Today in Travel. If you want to join our travel community, go to todayintravel.live, and it's going to bring you to our travel community on Facebook where you can post your tips, ask questions, collaborate. It is a community for the people. History of Carnival. Chris, you really are just trying to get me these days. Pantheon 2 is a must. Absolutely. And it's not far from Piazza Navona and Campo de Fiore, guys. But don't eat at the outdoor cafes, tourist trap. Do have an Aperol Spritz. I have had an Aperol Spritz. And I'm actually going to bring up this point that Jay brings up. Do not eat at cafes right next to tourist locations. The food is not as good and it's overpriced. Stay away. And that goes for any place you go. Oh, thanks, Kathleen. I appreciate you taking the time to join. I know it's crazy busy and everybody has a life, but I enjoy putting these together and just keeping some hope and inspiration alive. And I hope that Rome is a place that you guys end up trying at some point in time. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I will see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you also check out my YouTube channel. I have new tips videos every single Wednesday. And this week is a great one. It is my favorite Dollar Tree items for travel. So don't forget to check that out, guys. Have a great night. Bye. I'll do trivia, Chris. I'll add some trivia in. Maybe we'll do some Vegas trivia.